When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence, whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. And now you can race to victory with TwinSpires tournaments.
Welcome back to the TwinSpires Jury. I'm Ashley Anderson here with James Scully and Darin Zoccali to talk our best bets and fades of the week at Churchill Downs. We'll look at Aqueduct and opening weekend of Fairgrounds. They kick off their meet on Friday. And Darin, you're starting with Fairgrounds, so I will go to you for your best bet. Where are you playing that on Saturday's card?
Yeah, they have a great card with some Louisiana-bred stakes races and some really good allowance races. And it's one of the allowance races that I'm looking at, race number 9. It's a mile and 16, third level allowance over the turf course. And number 2, Evan Harlan here, I thought was very interesting and should be a pretty square price, 6-1 on the morning line. Jose Ortiz is riding for Brendan Walsh. This horse was last seen finishing 4th at Hawthorne in the Cary Memorial, a race that was run over a very yielding turf course that day. He was in good position while chasing from a wide spot and just kind of even through the stretch, but didn't really seem to get his legs under him. Looked like he was spinning his wheels, and I don't think he necessarily loved the softer going that day. His race 2 back at Colonial I thought was very good, finishing 2nd behind Skies Not Falling. He's got previous good tries, including a good win at Keeneland. And whenever you can win, and by the way, here's a look at Evan Harlan running 2nd at that last race, the aforementioned try at Colonial Downs, where the winner was just kind of opened up daylight. Evan Harlan's going to squeeze through on the inside here and rally well, finishing very nicely, in fact, to run 2nd here. But really the race that I took away was a few starts back when he was a winner at Keeneland. If you could win a 2nd level allowance, not one as a 2 other than at Keeneland over the spring meet, that's a big effort. I know he was a big price that day, but it shows the type of quality runner he is. And I look for him to, at this longer stretch at the fairgrounds, sit mid-pack, get a good jump on the speed, get a good jump on the closers, get first run. And I like him quite a bit at the 6-1 morning line, Ashley.
Certainly a great contender to finish in the money. He has 2 wins in 3 seconds from that distance of a mile and a 16th on the turf. James, what about you?
I'm going to go to Churchill Downs Saturday. Number 8, Underhill's Tab in the 6th race will be my best bet. He's listed as the 5-1 morning line 5th choice. So I'm hoping to get some, at least a $10 mutual on Underhill's Tab. And this is a 5-year-old gelding. I like the progress he made in a pair of starts during the spring meet at Churchill Downs. He recorded a He recorded a third place effort on Derby week, and then we'll see him in this effort right here, where he's going to basically get up to win by a neck, going this same 7 furlong distance on the far outside or on, I guess, second from the farthest outside, number 3, that he's going to run at on Saturday. That came at the same distance. That was a nice field of entry-level allowance rivals that day. The third-place finisher came right back to win his next start and flatter Underhill's Tab. He then went to Ellis Park and stepped up to this non-winner of 2 other than level and turned in the fastest performance of his career, finishing a close third to Record Point, who was in pretty good form at the time. Got a 96 Brisnet speed rating that compares extremely favorable to all his main rivals on Saturday. And last time out, Robert Medina shipped him to Presque Downs. Underhill's Tab finished like an even 7th in the Presque Downs mile. That was his first attempt around 2 turns. First attempt on an all-weather track. I'm not going to count that against him. In fact, I look for that effort to set him up for a big performance on his return to 7 furlongs. He came back earlier this year from a similar freshing at Oaklawn, and I thought ran a really big effort that day, so he can run well fresh. And I'm going to tab number 5, Underhill's Tab, in the 6th race at Churchill.
Yeah, James, this race really intrigued me. I didn't get the morning line favorite here in Harrodsburg. I don't think he's going off favorite in this race. He was 31-1 last time when he opened up daylight in the stretch and held on by 3/4 of a length. His previous tries in entry level allowance company, 2 starts back, was not good. He's running against horses here that are far more seasoned than he is, have far more back class, dropping out of grade threes, a couple of them coming out of some really tough allowances. And I think in this race, I think Banjo Chris is going to be a lower price than Harrodsburg. I think Banishing is going to be a lower price than Harrodsburg. Your Horse could certainly be a lower price than Harrodsburg, and I think Wyco on the outside as well. I think Harrodsburg is at best fourth choice in here. So I was a little bit dubious of what these odds reflected because I didn't agree with who they made the morning line favorite at all.
Yeah, I agree completely. And plus, he was all out to win at 6.5 furlongs last time, like you referenced, Darin. I see him as being vulnerable at 7 furlongs today, Harrodsburg. Banjo Chris just tried 7 furlongs last time, ran 7. Banishing, I mean, he's a contender from off the pace, but I think he runs better at Keeneland, where he won impressively 2 back, than he does at Churchill, where he's 0 for 4. And number 8, Wicco, he ran 1 fast race last year. I thought his last 2 efforts were completely underwhelming, and I'm playing against him on Saturday. So not only did I like Underhill Tab's form, but I could really poke holes, I thought, in the other main contenders.
Just gave us a fade for the week as well, but I will jump into my best bet before we get to our fades. And I'm going with race 9. I'm going to back number 11, Agu, at 4-1. And this is a Whit Beckman runner who didn't have the best showing at Saratoga back in July, then was gelded, came back and raced at Churchill on September 14th, went gate to wire with a career best 98 Brisnet speed figure. Then next out, finished a next second to world record, who is a graded stakes winner when he was racing at Keeneland in a 6 furlong allowance optional claimer. Now Agu is making his 3rd start off the layoff. He's looked okay in workouts at Churchill Downs. And he's going to have Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard, who's had the mount for the last 2 starts. So I'm going to play this horse from the far outside, which has been winning at a decent percentage this last week at Churchill in 6 furlong sprints. So I will go with the 4-1 price. Not quite a long shot like I've been trying to play, but I think has a good shot here.
No, he certainly, I think, has a good shot off that last effort. World record looked like a complete rebound, bounce back candidate. I thought, he was real sharp in the Amsterdam. Even I read Rudolph Brissett. He basically said it himself. He bounced in the Jerkins, and he was looking for a big effort at Keeneland, and this Agu put him absolutely to the test off of an $80,000 claimer. So in my mind, Agu is progressing as well for Whit Beckman, which would add to his appeal.
I believe this horse used to work out with Honor Marie ahead of the Kentucky Derby. So little fun fact there. But James, let's turn to our fade of the week. Aside from Harrodsburg, who else do you not like at a short price?
Well, I'm going to go with number 3, Dashman. I'm certainly hoping he's favored in the Grade 3 Commonwealth Turf Saturday at Churchill Downs. It's race 10. He is the morning line favorite for sure. 5-2 morning line favorite in the Commonwealth Turf, Dashman. He's a 3-year-old colt for Brian Lynch that broke his maiden 3 starts back on the turf at Ellis Park. He went to Kentucky Downs. I don't know about the competition he faced that day, but he won his next start pretty handily. But last time out when trying stakes rivals, Dashman, I thought wasn't really much of a factor. Maybe didn't have the cleanest trip, but he's 4th. He's 4th in the Grade 3 Jockey Club Invitational. So he remains a promising type. I don't want to say anything too negative about him because he could still come on, but I just don't think he's going to be anywhere near as good enough to beat Hershey and number 8 Hershey and number 9 Evade, who have both run well in recent starts against, in my opinion, the absolute best 3-year-old turf horse in America, Brilliant Birdie. I look for him to have a huge year for next year for Cherie DeVoe, and I love Hershey's last 2 efforts. Evade's going to be 3rd start in the U.S. for Maker. But so I'm going to try to beat Dashman in the Commonwealth Turf. I'm excited for both these stakes on Saturday.
Hershey, I remember at Kentucky Downs, that horse I think was 12 to 1 on the morning line in the gun runner and then was bet down. And so I was excited when I thought, maybe I'd get a good price on Hershey at some point. And then, 3 to 1 on the morning line, not quite what I was hoping for. And I'm sure we'll get a lot of money in this race. But this pace scenario is kind of interesting too, because my boy Prince, going to go for the early lead. That horse races seemingly a lot better when racing on Lasix, won't be racing on Lasix here. And then really there's no other early speed except where I guess Hershey might try to go for the early lead. So I am, wondering, is this going to set up well for a late closer like Axarb and Derby? Can the pace be hot enough for a horse like that? What do you think, James, as far as pace scenario?
Oh yeah, I definitely think it could be. I mean, I think that my boy Prince, like you said, will be forward. I don't know if Cassie's eyeing another race in like a week and a half or 2 weeks, because it seems like he runs a couple times every month. I mean, he has run a lot of races here of late. It seemingly, I guess this is his third start since the King's Plate in late August, but. He's going to add to pace, but he could have a couple horses up close to him from the outside, at least maybe this long shot Piper's factor. But it's not going to be that hot a pace.
Yeah.
Shout out to the connections of or whoever named Axar Ben Derby, named for a racetrack in Nebraska that obviously no longer exists, but Axar Ben is, of course, Nebraska spelled backwards. So one of the cooler racetrack names.
That's what that is. Okay. Yep.
Ever heard of Axar Ben racetrack?
No, I was looking up the race replays and I kept seeing, Axar Ben Derby. Yeah. I was thinking this was like an overseas reference, but not at all.
Was a racetrack in Nebraska that they took Nebraska, flipped it around, and it's literally Nebraska backwards.
Oh, okay. Well, Darin, what is your fate of the week?
Chock full of useless racing information. I have to get on a horse racing edition of Jeopardy one day. Yeah. Race number 3 at Aqueduct. It's a New York bred allowance event. Nothing overly fancy like some of the stakes races James is talking about, but these are just horses that I like to play against. Number 4, Liberty Central, who's 6-5 on the morning line. He runs fine every time he goes out there, but there's just nothing about this horse that inspires confidence at a short price. You watch his runs at Aqueduct. He's like watching him. He just never looks like he's going to win. He loses ground routinely in the stretch to the horse that he's chasing. He gets good trips. Sometimes he causes himself a little bit of trouble, but he's 1 for 11 lifetime. He's had several cracks at this entry-level allowance condition and been unable to break through. And I just think in a spot like this, either one of the halves of the Christophe Clement entry, Final Denials going turf to dirt, Landoro's coming off of an improved effort where he was bumped hard at the start and they're putting blinkers on. Colomio's coming off of a win against Claiming Company at Churchill Downs, was first off the claim and is now facing New York bred company for the first time that I can ever remember. Petrolo's coming in, riding a 3-race win streak. Haggard's Flames coming out of an open claimer, going back in against New York breds, and was last seen going 1 1/8 over a sloppy sealed track, a race that he caught a lot of traffic. So my point being, you could just find an angle on some other runner here than settle for this horse who's 1 for 11 and just routinely disappoints at the entry-level allowance level. So for me, this is a dead obvious fade, Liberty Central at a short price.
Yeah, I agree. 0 for 4 at a mile, and then seems to settle for second or third when racing at Aqueduct. So maybe play underneath.
Oh, yeah. Likely to hit the board. Just wouldn't get my money on the win end.
No. Well, I will take it back to Churchill for my fade, and I'm going with number 4, Too Sharp at 2 to 1 in the Chaluki, which is a grade 3 at a mile. And Too Sharp is the only 3-year-old filly in this field. Everyone else is 4 years old or older. We have a 5-year-old mare in there too. And this filly has been very good, very fast. Will probably have an uncontested early lead, potentially. Has very high brisnet early E1 and E2 figures. But stretching out to a mile for the first time, it is a 1-turn mile and has been racing between 6 and 6.5 furlongs. Her 2 wins came against short fields, and then she was racing on Lasix as well in those races. But when she made her debut, it was against 11 rivals. She was a distant second. And then when she stepped up to Graded Stakes Company in the Prioress, she was a next second to Brightwork. Certainly a good effort that day. But at 2 to 1, I'm going to play against first time at a mile. And I feel like there's a couple other runners that look good to me that are much more experienced. You've got Pigalle cutting back to a mile for Tommy Drury, 5 for 7 at today's distance, and has 2 wins, 2 seconds from 5 starts at Churchill. I even think Positano Sunset, who hasn't been back in the winner's circle for a while, has the closing pick to maybe finally get back to the winner's circle if the pace is hot enough. And then I really like Fancy at 6-1 for Brennan Walsh, who was a next second to Pigalle in the Group Edol. Had a 100 brisnet speed figure that day and has 2 wins at a mile and 3 second place finishes. So one to hit the board, and also seems to run really well at Churchill. So I'm going to play against the youngest in the field that is also stretching out to a route distance for the first time.
They're going to have to catch Too Sharp. She's at blinkers, and I think she's really dangerous. But I do like. Take a look at that Fancy of those rivals you mentioned. This is a filly that really didn't show much last year in 5 starts. She's come back and raced 5 times this year for Brandon Walsh, and if you give her that first race back, she's recorded 2 wins and a next second in the Group Edol. So she's improving, and she's going to appreciate the mile distance, whereas Too Sharp has never run past 6.5 furlongs.
Yeah, I am a little concerned about how fast Too Sharp is. If it were a 2-turn mile, I would be even more inclined to say this is a fade. But yeah, with her, really just having to handle 1 turn, racing a mile, stretching out for the first time. I mean, I know she has a chance to win, but I'm still saying, play against if you're wanting to make any kind of money.
She's never been longer odds than 4 to 5 in her career, and is probably going to rival that once again. I always found it funny that the Chaluki Stakes is a race for older fillies and mares, because Chaluki did the vast majority of her great work as a 2-year-old. Hey, $10 to the person who could tell me who gave Chaluki her first defeat in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies.
Oh, man. This would have been in around
1999.
Yeah. Was it the Catman horse?
Nope.
That wasn't it.
D. Wayne Lucas's Cash Run.
Oh yeah. That's
about
right.
20,
Look at Darin, all the trivia today.
Yeah.
All the trivia. That's all I got. My one thing.
Well, let's go from trivia to promos. So what's going on at TwinSpires this weekend?
I do have promos too. That's true. That's a valid point. Yeah, we've got a lot going on. Coming up, the Fairgrounds is kicking off. We have a great offer to take you through the end of the 2024 calendar year. 2 million point late pick 5, hit it and split it. So it's a really cool opportunity to pad those rewards balance bankrolls to add into your points, and of course you can redeem those for money to wager with at TwinSpires. But it's a great offer. Every Saturday, November and December, you hit the late pick 5, you're going to share in 2 million TwinSpires reward points that day, and if you're the only one, you're getting all 2 million points, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, definitely be involved in that. Opt in and make sure that you're opted in before you place that first pick 5 wager. And then from there, we have continuing through the rest of the Churchill Downs meet, the $3,000 pick 3, hit it and split it. Great offer. You hit any 3 pick 3s on the card. Could even be in the same race. They just have to be 3 winning 3 pick 3 tickets. You're going to share in $3,000. So it's pretty great. You're going to get extra funds on top of what you win throughout the day. And if you hit 3 pick 3s, you're probably having a pretty good day to begin with. So we're going to make a pretty good day even better with that great Churchill Downs offer. And of course, we have to encourage everybody to go to TwinSpires tournaments and check out what we have going on. We had a really big announcement this week. The $10,000 guaranteed Turfway Handicapping Championship. It's a real great opportunity for contest players because it's a $2,000 buy-in, but $1,500 of it goes to your bankroll. So that's a great ratio that you're getting to wager with. One player for every 10 entries is going to win a Kentucky Derby betting challenge seat. And we're throwing in $10,000 cash on top of it. So we're not taking that $10,000 out of the prize pool. We're throwing that in. So you got Kentucky Derby betting challenge seats. You got a $10,000 added cash pool. There's feeders and qualifiers all the way up through that great contest on December the 14th. So be on the lookout for that. There's actually a feeder going on tonight at Woodbine coming up in about an hour and a half's time. It's a $160 feeder. It's got a 50-50 split, $80 to your bankroll, $80 to your prize pool. But it's really cool because You only need 5 entries to trigger that first seat. One player out of every 5 is getting into a qualifier. So you can't really do much better than that. So be sure to be checking out what we have going on in tournaments. A lot of great stuff happening.
Yeah, and we've got a great Thanksgiving Day card. So tell us about that, Darin.
Yeah, that Thanksgiving Day card came out today. It is spectacular. It is a 12-race program. So it's going to be wrapping up just in time for you to be carving the turkey if you have that job like I do. But yeah, I mean, they got a couple of stakes races on the card as well. There's a grade 3 stake in there. Another one on the turf. There's the Thanksgiving Classic, a 6 furlong event that's got 11 horses in there. I mean, there is just so much stuff going on this Thursday card. I mean, it is just absolutely spectacular. So the Thanksgiving Classic it features Bo Cruz in there, features Red Flag, Giant Misdrift down to the inside. Just a really, really fun race that I thought jumped off the page. So really excited for the Thanksgiving program there at the fairgrounds and at Churchill Downs. 22 races between the two cards. Grade 3s at Churchill, Thanksgiving Classic at fairgrounds. Definitely a lot to keep you occupied until you dive into your turkey at Thanksgiving night.
We got Tarifa running on Thanksgiving Day at Churchill, who did a lot of her work at fairgrounds, but also appeared in the Kentucky Oaks. So that'll be exciting to see her. It's been a while since she's run, actually. Well, a little bit. Late October at Aqueduct, but still. She won the Mother Goose.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, and she was one of those big 3-year-old fillies. Yeah, she was one of those big 3-year-old fillies going into the Oaks. So she obviously takes center stage. The Cardinal is a great grade 3 going 1 1/8 on the turf. They got an 11-horse field for that. You've got the Fall City, which features Loved, who at one point was viewed as a potential Breeders' Cup Distaff contender earlier on the year. She brings her speed to the party. So, yeah, just a really fun card at Churchill Downs, 12 races from start to finish.
James, what are you looking forward to this weekend?
Well, I also want to say, as far as promos, I like how the TwinSpires tournaments, though, also have the tournaments available for all different bankrolls, budgets. So wanted to add how I appreciate that. But for my what else, there's a pair of maiden special weight races for 2-year-olds on Saturday at Churchill that book in the late pick 5, races 7 and 11. And Steve Asmussen has a pair of $1 million Saratoga yearling purchases in each race. I think the most high profile one is going to be number 2 Yinzer in race 7, which is a 6.5 furlong test for 2-year-olds. And this is a colt by Twirling Candy. His mare, who's by Tappet, is a half sister to 3 graded stakes winners. So we'll get to see what Yinzer has to offer. The morning line favorite in there is number 7 Sea Vista. Regally bred colt by Street Sense for Godolphin, who will make a second start for Brad Cox after recording a fast closing second at Saratoga. And then the other Asmussen runners in race 11, a mile and a 16th maiden special weight for 2-year-old fillies. Her name's Seraphia. She'll be making her second start. She also sold for $1 million at Saratoga as a yearling. She rallied to be third to next out winner, Amarth, who's a promising filly in her own right. And this gun runner filly figures to appreciate the stretch out to 2 turns. Another intriguing runner by gun runner in there is number 5 Calamity, who is a first-time starter for Brad Cox. And then I'll mention one more horse for Asmussen. On Friday's opening day card, they got Louisiana bred stakes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that are essentially preps for the Louisiana Champions Day in December at Fairgrounds. And the Joseph Peluso Memorial for Louisiana bred 2-year-olds at 6 furlongs Friday attracted Voila Magic. 9-5 on the morning line. This is a great colt by Volatile, who won by 5+ lengths first time out at Keeneland over an open maiden special weight rivals for Steve Asmussen. Walla Magic will be one to watch. And then even on Saturday in the Philly counterpart, the Donovan Ferguson Memorial. I wanted to mention that number 2 in there, Secret Faith, a exciting Louisiana bred filly, is seeking her 4th straight stakes wins after winning at Lone Star, Evangeline, and Delta. So lots of good 2-year-old races this weekend to keep an eye on before Churchill hosts its Stars of Tomorrow program next weekend.
Yeah, I talked to Steve Asmussen this week. He was excited to get Yinzer out on the track and finally run. And you get 8-1 on the morning line with that horse, who was, a very expensive yearling purchase. So I'm excited to see what we get out of Yinzer first time out. And for what else I'm looking forward to this weekend, of course, we've already talked about Fairgrounds, but they're kicking off their 153rd racing season on Friday. And it's a 76-day meet spanning through March 23rd. Of course, has the $1 million Louisiana Derby on March 22nd. I'm sure we will be providing some live coverage during the meet next year, maybe even earlier this year. We'll see. So TwinSpires will certainly be on site, but we also have, our normal players and Brad Cox, Steve Asmussen. Kenny McPeak will have an increased presence this year. He won the Derby in Oaks last year, of course. Brian Hernandez, a New Orleans native, will be down at the fairgrounds. And we already talked about Jose Ortiz is going to be competing in the Crescent City. So a few exciting names to watch for. And I also wanted to mention real quickly, on Friday, we have Todd Pletcher debuting a pair of 3-year-old fillies. And listen to these names. We have, are you ready for it? Taylor Swifter, a $725,000 purchase by American Pharoah. And then rumors have it, a Tappet 3-year-old out of Songbird, who of course was 2015 champion 2-year-old filly and 2016 champion 3-year-old filly. And the name is kind of an Adele reference, I feel like. But both of these horses are entered.
What is the name?
Oh, rumors have it.
Oh, rumors have it.
Yeah, song
You
by
know the
Adele.
song?
Oh, okay.
Anyway, both of these horses are entered in race 2 at Gulfstream in Florida. 3 exclamation points, if you know, you know. And I don't know who in their wildest dreams would not bet on Todd Pletcher in this race, because we know all too well that he is a high percentage trainer and maiden special weights, 20% to be in fact. So we'll see who comes out in the battle of Taylor Swift versus Adele. Technically, it's kind of a musically inclined matchup here.
How many song references did you get in that little?
I have to say, Darin, with you being
I lost track after like 4.
I know.
I was gonna say, with you being a DJ, someone like you might
There you go.
Someone
Yeah.
might, Adele, Taylor Swift references all throughout my little description right there. Very well done.
At least you didn't say hello. What can I say?
Right. That one's a little too obvious. Hard to work in there. All right. Well, I think that's all the time we have today for the TwinSpires jury. Of course, head to twinspires.com or the app to bet those promos, to enter our tournaments, and we will see you next Thursday. Or wait, no, we won't.
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence, whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. And now you can race to victory with TwinSpires tournaments.